Queremos invitarles a tomar asiento. Sit down, Guido. Y queridos amigos y amigas, ya está con nosotros nuestro panelista el primero de la tarde. Lo vamos a presentar enseguida y dejar este tiempo para escuchar y conversar con él. La presentación en inglés está en esta pantalla. Hay un traductor y los que más puedan acercarse a lo mejor o quieran revisar y ver, está en esta pantalla. Va a haber un... Sí, bueno. Y don Ignacio Díaz Sánchez, él es el rector de la Pontificia Universidad Católica de Chile. También dice que puede compartirles a ustedes en inglés y en español para así completar la comprensión de todo el público. Así que eso va a ser un gran beneficio. Bueno, muy buenas tardes a todos y a todas. Deseamos que el almuerzo haya estado muy rico y, por supuesto, nos queda una tarde interesante y, por supuesto, motivadora para este momento y este encuentro. A continuación, invitamos a nuestro presidente, Jan de Groff, que quiere dirigir algunas palabras. Adelante.
Dear friends, dear colleagues, Mr. Rector, it's a real privilege to have you with us. We are honored that you made some time in your overbooked agenda, without any doubt. In those hectic times, it's a privilege to have you to co-reflect on the future of education, especially on the role of Catholic teachers. Probably you do know that the World Union of Catholic Teachers is the oldest lay association linked to the Vatican, founded more than 115 years ago, and recognized, accredited by two dicasteries, the Dicastery of Laity, Life and Family, and the Dicastery of Culture and Education, including, of course, a research component. Focusing on the role of Catholic teachers also in higher education level, at university, colleges, higher education, vocational and technical institutions, and the role of research. Those who teach in Catholic universities, and Rector, there are several in this group of persons who are teaching at Catholic universities worldwide, and those who can make the comparison teaching in a Catholic university and in a state university, had both experiences, can smell the difference, the culture, the ethos. Catholic University is not just the university mostly, who is having a faculty of religious studies, a faculty of theology, having a strong expertise and strong impact on teachers training in Catholic schools. Organizing a subject of ethics and eventually Catholic social doctrine throughout the institution-wide, in all faculties, in all departments. But it's something more. I'm graduated from the Catholic University of Leuven, but also taught in Catholic universities out of Belgium. What is typical, and again there, the Catholic doctrine is quite inspiring, also for non-Catholic universities. It's not just the search for bonum verum pulchrum, but also the search for the truth, and read mission statement of Catholic universities. It's an exciting exercise, reading charters, vision statements of Catholic universities. You can see the difference. Search for the truth, even in cases when it is unpopular, when it is not following the majority opinion, even when you have to speak out in difficult matters, who are not in line with opinio communis. The courage, the power, but also the courage to be a Catholic university. And it is a duty of all of us, researchers, professors, researchers linked to Catholic doctrine, to raise that question. How can we make the difference as a Catholic university? Rector, thanks again to be here. You have the floor.
Muchas gracias, muy buenas tardes. Thank you so much, President, for this kind, not only introduction, but was very part of my speech.
I'm so sorry.
So, any questions now? No, digo que el presidente ha hecho una introducción muy completa y ha puesto temas que son de gran relevancia, la búsqueda de la verdad, el sentido de comunidad. Y entonces, yo tengo hasta las 3 de la tarde, por lo tanto lo que pensaba hacer es 20 minutos de una introducción y de poner ciertos temas sobre la mesa y después dejar 20 minutos, media hora para que ustedes hagan todas las preguntas y tengamos un intercambio. So what I'm going to do is to change from Spanish to English, just for purpose of more understanding of the whole audience. And the idea will be to present some facts about the Catholic universities in Latin America, in Chile, and then what are the main ethos or the main mission sense that we have as universities. Lo primero es decir que las universidades católicas surgen del corazón de la Iglesia. It's coming from ex cor de Ecclesia. An ex cor de Ecclesia is a chart, apostolical chart from John Paul II, when in 1990 he wrote this constitution for the Catholic universities that I really suggest for you to read. And in a few pages says that coming from the heart of the church, venir del corazón de la iglesia, significa que las universidades católicas debieran de reflejar lo mejor de la iglesia para la educación. So if we really think that we are coming from the heart of the church, we have to focus in the heart of our students. We have to focus on the heart of our community. Las universidades católicas están abiertas a católicos y no católicos, a creyentes y no creyentes. Pero tenemos una misión, tenemos un sentido de identidad que tenemos que ser muy fieles a la fundación de nuestras instituciones. We have to really follow what our founders said to when they started our universities. In our case, 1888, so it's 137 years. 137 años de historia la Universidad Católica en Chile. Después de la Universidad de Chile, que tiene cerca de 180 años, nuestra universidad surge para poner otra mirada a la formación laica. So the idea was to present to society a different way to show the culture, a different way to dialogue between faith and culture. As the president was saying, there's always a sense of community, or sense of Catholic community in the universities around the world. Tengo la experiencia de haber visitado universidades católicas en Japón, en Corea, universidades católicas en África, y cuando uno entra a una universidad católica, independiente del porcentaje de católicos en su comunidad, hay algo diferente, y es lo que decía el presidente de la asociación. We feel something different because there is a sense of searching for the truth. There is a sense of working as a community that sometimes you see in non-Catholic university for sure, but there is a characteristic, I will say, of our universities. And let's say the percentage of Catholics students and professors in Japan is less than 2%. In our case, Chile is a country where you have about 50% of the population is Catholic. And in our university, it's about the same, because the vast majority, more than 95% of the students, they choose us because of our quality, not because we are Catholic universities. But the thing is, a Catholic university has to have a quality, because we have to work as much as we can to form, to present teaching proposal and to present a research proposal to the society that can be of a high quality and can be differentiated from the regular proposals. Y salir del corazón de la iglesia significa la docencia y la dedicación del estudiante per se para formarlo propiamente tal. Significa hacer investigación de gran nivel y crear nuevo conocimiento sabiendo que las universidades son claves en esta generación de nuevo conocimiento. Esas son las dos columnas de la formación universitaria: docencia e investigación. Y la tercera columna tiene que ver con un sentido del para qué. Y eso es para vincularnos con la sociedad de manera más importante. No sé si cuando hablo en español se traduce también ahí, ¿sí? So we have these three missions: teaching, research, and social commitment or social engagement to society. And in those three, we have to be leaders, and we have to present an important proposal to the society. You have to think that sometimes when you present ideas, the easy way is to say, well, they present this because they are Catholics. This is the easy way, but the thing is to present it with an open mind, with good arguments, and to say, yeah, we are Catholics, and we think that there is a more spiritual sense of the teaching of the university, but we also are very based on facts. We are very based on science. So the idea is that we open all the topics to be discussed in the university, and we add another layer, and the other layer is the spiritual layer. But this is really based on solid science, and solid social science, and solid humanities, and solid art. De esta manera, nosotros creemos que el deber ser de una universidad católica es ser una muy buena universidad. No creo que hayan espacios para hacer las cosas a media. We don't have time to spend in a half time or in a half quality program. We have the time to really go deeply in searching for the truth, go deeply in doing the best teaching and research we can. Y la Universidad Católica está abierta para creyentes y no creyentes. Muchos de ustedes conocen la Casa Central nuestra, hay un gran Cristo en el techo de la Casa Central con los brazos abiertos, y eso significa una apertura. That means opening to receive students, to receive professors, to receive staff, to live a good Catholic university environment, to live in a good Catholic university community. Algunos datos importantes en el mundo existe la Federación Internacional de Universidades Católicas, PUC, o IFQ. And in the whole world, we have about 270, 280 universities affiliated to FQ. That doesn't mean that there are 280 Catholic universities, there are much more, but affiliated to FQ or PUC is more than 280. And in Latinoamérica, en nuestra Latinoamérica existe una asociación que se llama ODUCAL, Organización de Universidades Católicas de Latinoamérica, and this Catholic University Association in Latin America has 120 universities. In Chile, we are 8 Catholic universities. There are Catholic universities as a Pontificia Universidad Católica like us. There are Catholic universities from dioceses in different parts of the countries. And there are 2 Catholic universities that belong to the Salesians and 1 to the Jesuit. We work as a group, as a team. As a matter of fact, today there is one of the regular meetings that we have every 2 months where we present certain topics or certain ideas to do as a group, to do as a team. We interact with all kinds of universities in Chile and internationally. La idea para la Universidad Católica que yo presido desde hace casi 15 años es tener las mejores relaciones internacionales de calidad con prestigiosas universidades de Norteamérica, de Europa, de Asia, de Australia. I was talking to the professor from Glasgow University. We share a network that is called Universitas 21, where we interact with Glasgow, with Edinburgh, with Birmingham, with different universities in Australia, in China, etc. Because we think that the university world has to be connected, has to be open, and for sure we can give certain good values to different universities, and for sure we get a lot of values from different universities across the world. So the university collaboration is something that is real live. University collaboration, I guess, did increase significantly during the pandemia. Recuerden ustedes que en pandemia estuvimos prácticamente todo el día en conexiones virtuales, y gran parte de esas conexiones virtuales nosotros las teníamos con universidades de distintas partes del mundo. And in that case, instead of being isolated, the Zoom connections, Team connections were the way to really interact and going through a difficult time like it was the pandemic. Our university, just a few facts and dates. Our university has 38,000 students, more than 32,000 in undergrad, and 6,000 in postgraduate education. We have more than 4,000 professors, 1,500 with complete dedication to the university, teaching and research. And about half of them are women, half of them are male. We do account for about 26% of the research productivity in the country. Y eso es bien importante. En nuestro país hay 2, 3 universidades que llevan adelante el carro de la educación superior. Nuestra universidad, la Universidad de Chile, la Universidad de Concepción, claramente tienen el liderazgo nacional, y hay cerca de 55 universidades. In Chile we have 55 universities, 8 Catholics, and the rest from the state, private universities in different regions of the country. But I will say that as a Catholic university, we get the best students in the country. Every time that we post a professorship position, we get about 90, 95 applicants, half of them from international applicants, half of them are from Chile. So it's a very competitive university, and it's a great place to develop the different projects that the professor can have. One of the main situations that does account to our system, university system, is the lack of enough money for research. We have excellent professors, we have brilliant researchers, we have brilliant students that they can perform very good jobs in different universities across the world. But if you compare the budget for research that we have compared to the budget of research that you can have, probably it's not more than 5 to 10% the money that we can devote to research. And even with that kind of money, we are in our university about 90, 93 in the world rankings because of the quality of the people that we have. En estos siguientes pocos minutos quiero destacar algunos proyectos que me gustaría conversar con ustedes porque creo que son muy relevantes como Universidad Católica. Nosotros queremos trabajar fuertemente en esta dualidad que tiene que ser conjunta entre calidad e inclusión. Quality and inclusion has to go in the same way. 20 years ago, our university had a good quality, but was mostly devoted to students coming from the private education. Now, almost half of our students are coming from the public education, and the idea was to get the best students from all over the places, having in mind, as we know as Catholics, that the talents are in every place. A kid can be poor, but can be very talented, and the main problem is not talent, it's opportunities. So our mission is to give opportunities to everyone that has the talent, the effort, and the commitment to come into our university. The second one is to strengthen and to foster research, as the same thing that I was saying before. The number 4 is academic freedom and academic autonomy. It's something that we have always to reflect. The issues in the Middle East, the issues in each and every country, put on the table that there are not topics that cannot be discussed at the university with respect, thinking in human dignity, avoiding speech of violence, but we cannot have cancellation of topics because every time you cancel a topic, you decrease the quality of the university. Dos temas importantes son interdisciplinariedad y internacionalización. Y interdisciplinariedad significa que de todas las áreas de la universidad podamos trabajar en conjunto. Sometimes when you work as a professor in medicine, with a professor in design, or with a professor in law, you get a much better result than if each professor will work isolated in each faculty. And the internationalization, the issue of working with different universities across the world is something that you are living here now. El hecho de que esta reunión mundial se haga en Chile y se haga también en el sur del país cuando vayan a Chihuayante, significa que estamos conectados como profesores católicos de colegios, de universidades, con otras realidades en el mundo y todos podemos aprender de estas diferentes testimonios. I always says that there is not a university that can be too small to do not have anything to give to the other university, and there is no university too big do not have any improvement from the added of different universities. So every time, every day, in every occasion, we learn from each other, and this is a thing that is happening today as well. Y lo último es la vinculación con el medio. La vinculación con el medio es how you do the civic engagement. There is a sense of bidireccionalidad. You give some goods to the community, but you get back from the community a lot of goods. So the bidirectional way is very important. En el pasado parecía que las universidades siempre tenían que ir a las comunidades a entregar cultura, docencia, investigación, pero se tomaba poco en cuenta lo que las universidades podían captar de la comunidad. Y eso es muy importante. Si yo tengo un trabajo docente con la comunidad, puedo evaluar mi aprendizaje con la comunidad, y si ese aprendizaje no es de la calidad que yo espero, a través de ese feedback yo puedo cambiar mi manera de hacer docencia. The feedback of the community can give me some elements or some tools to change both the research or to change the teaching that I'm doing. There are two main programs that we are taking today in the university that I guess are very mission-ridden in a Catholic sense or mission. One is applied ethics. You know that universities tenemos que formar de la mejor forma a nuestros egresados, pero la pregunta es, ¿qué sacamos con saber también las materias si no tenemos un sentido ético de nuestro comportamiento? ¿Qué saca un ingeniero o un constructor en conocer bien sus materias si en el momento de construir la casa va a diluir más arena, menos cemento por motivos de costo, va a poner más agua y menos materiales de buena calidad por motivos de costo? So to have a sense of ethics in our professions is key, in law, in education, in medicine, in engineering, etc. And the second one is the intercultural program, porque creemos que a través de la interculturalidad nosotros valoramos a toda la comunidad que pertenece a nuestra institución. Hay instituciones en regiones donde el porcentaje de estudiantes que provienen de pueblos originarios es muy alto, voy a decir en Arica, en Temuco, pero en nuestra institución nosotros tenemos cerca de 2.000 estudiantes de procedencia mapuche y tenemos cerca de 500 estudiantes más de otros pueblos originarios y tenemos cerca de 1.000 estudiantes que son hijos de migrantes. So when you have about 15% of your community that are coming from First Native population or migrants population, you have first of all to say, welcome, you are part of the community, you have the same rights, the same rights and the same duties that anyone in the community, and we love you to be here. Muchas veces estas poblaciones tratan de parecer desapercibidas. They are under the surface. And no, I mean, when you have a more diverse community, when you have a more diverse university, you have a better university. I guess this is the main summary. And the last thing that I would like to say is that in the last 10 years, plus minus, we have been working very hard in give to Chile a proposal in culture and patrimonio. Cultura y patrimonio desde las universidades creo que es un desafío que tenemos que tener, y lo que hemos hecho nosotros es proyectar ese patrimonio para las futuras generaciones a través de esforzarnos por dar cultura a través de la música, a través del arte, a través de la literatura, a través del teatro, conectar a personas que tienen patrimonios culturales importantes y atraerlos a la universidad para poder proyectarlos hacia el futuro. The universities in our country, we have close to 200 years of history, in the world close to 1,000 years. So most probably in the next 50 and 100 years, our institutions will be very solid, very big one, and very important for the development of the country. And if we can attract culture and patrimonium for the future generations, we are doing something really key and very important for our culture, for our nation. There are not too many institutions that can give trust, prestige, and compromise with the society, and I guess universities are one of the few institutions that can provoke that and can induce that in the population. How about if we open, si abrimos la discusión, ustedes me hacen las preguntas que ustedes quieran, you can ask whatever you want, something that I just presented or something that you would like to know, and if I can be of any help, I'll be very happy.
That was brilliant. Thank you so much. Very instructive, very inspirational indeed. May I misuse my authority as chair to raise myself a few questions, because last experiences show that there was no time for me to raise a few issues. So I will now do it quickly so that you are well known that I should also raise some issues. I have three questions, but I will make it short. A very popular topic of rector conferences, those meetings, is first the lack of funding, public funding, and secondly is the over-detailed state regulation. Very popular, both issues. And I was once part of those councils, so we debated quite at large. But that's just not just for European rector conferences, it's quite general. Article 19, subsection 11 of your constitution, you had a wonderful constitutional debate in Chile. We, from far, we love to follow this left, right, whatever debate on the new constitution for Chile, the draft constitution. But the standing text on Article 19, subsection 11, is dealing with a short article, freedom of education, right of the parents, and then also a short paragraph on the minimal requirements for education institutions of all levels, not just the primary, but also. So my first question is, well, how over-detailed are those regulations to hinder autonomy, autonomous freedom? Because we talked about academic freedom, and quite interesting, there are not that many constitutions dealing with academic freedom. And from research, from comparative constitutional law, quite interesting which kind of countries mention academic freedom in the constitution. But first question, how state regulations are hindering you to fulfill your mission. Second, I'm that happy that you mentioned the most forgotten dimension of university governance and university administration and university policy, namely interdisciplinarity. It's also the most difficult issue. But it's the only place in the public sector or the private sector where academics, experts from all disciplines are gathering and are putting their research and their expertise together. It's the duty of a university to set up interdisciplinary topics on the most vital issues. How do you do it in concrete terms? Very concretely, because we have to cope with this issue, and rectors are fighting against conservatism of the academia. Once I was invited to deliver a speech for rectors and entrepreneurs, and I started my statement with a little bit shocking, just to keep attention, you have to shock the audience. What are the two most conservative institutions since the Middle Age? First, churches, and second, universities. Reluctance to change. A little bit provocative, but still. So my question, interdisciplinary attention, it would be welcome to have your best practices. And last, we had a huge debate worldwide on should the university take a position in the political agenda when human rights are at risk. Concretely, not just in the US, but also throughout Europe, on the war in Gaza and the West Bank, universities were asked to take position. Students protest and so on. We had a quite interesting debate on on the position of some of our academics, published the statement, the university should be neutral. I opposed in another article against that article, I mentioned university cannot be neutral. It's the duty to speak out even in topics that are unpopular. So how neutral is your university dealing with leading, between brackets, broad political, not political agenda of your government, but when human rights are at stake? I'm so sorry that I'm misusing your time, but I was really curious to have your answers. Rector.
No, now I realize why they don't want to give you a microphone. No, thank you so much for all this question. I'll be brief just to allow more people to discuss. When I was talking to autonomy, there are several attempts to autonomy. And one of them, for sure, is the government. This government, the previous one, the future one, the one 50 years ago. There's not the side or the political party of the government. Always the governments will want to go inside the universities asking several questions. What are the curriculum in gender that you are teaching? What is the curriculum in human rights that you are teaching? What kind of research you are doing? So you have to be very careful with all this information. You have to give all the information through your web page. Everything has to be open, but you have to respond to the government. Say, look at my web page. I'm not going to give you more detail than the web page is on. We have all the curriculum of our careers in the web page. We have all the lines of research that we have all the publications that every year we publish in the web page. So we don't have to have a particular contact with this government or the previous one or the next one. Because when you open the door, then you don't know until what part of the kitchen the Minister of Education will go. The second question is the interdisciplinary. And this is a fascinating question. I always discuss with the rectors in different parts of the world. And for all of them, interdisciplinary issues are the more difficult one to enhance, to pronounce. We do it through, let's say, in undergrad, through our college system, where the kids, they come to a college in humanities or a college in science, and they can explore different contents on the curriculum. We do it through centers. For us, a center is a junction or a union of two or more faculties where they can attack or they can tackle different projects, energy, poverty, education, looking from different ways. And we really think that in the interdisciplinary borders, there is a lot of research that can be connected. And also, in the last few months, we started with something that we call initiative. That is not only inside the university, let's say faculties of different topics, but also we attract foundations from outside the university. We attract and we do transdisciplinary research with agency from the government, etc. And the last question is really important for us. To me, the objective of the university is to teach the students how to learn, how to reflect, how to analyze the problems, not to give recipes. So we have to present all the topics. Let's say in the case of Gaza, from the very first minute we condemned completely the Hamas attack, and we have been condemning and saying that it's not possible the reaction from Israel to Gaza city. So we are very clear in not supporting the violence. But we are also very clear in that, let's say, our relationship to the Israeli universities has to be present, because in the Israeli universities are one of the main resistant action against the government. So we cannot isolate the Israeli universities. We have contact with them, of course, contact with them in the humanities issue, in the art issue, in the science, without anything to do with war. But we know from first hand that the majority of the professors in the universities are completely against of the reaction of the Israeli government. So there is something that we cannot be weak, is the condemn to violence, is the condemn to attempts to human rights in any part of the world. But on the other hand, you have to you have to enhance the reflection and the discussion about all these issues, and you have to accept different opinions, provided that they are not an apology of violence, provided that they are not against the human dignity. But it's important for our community to understand that the opinions can be different if you give enough respect and enough arguments to have the discussion. So we are completely against the cancellation of topics. Let's say sometimes the students, they have problems for being, attending a lecture of a professor coming from different parts of the world. So before the South African issue, there was the apartheid issue. We said, well, let's open the universities to be a place for the discussion of everything that we need to discuss. Those are my, and thank you so much for the questions. And also the main thing that you say about the universities that are reluctant to change is very true. It's difficult to have changes. You have to be very committed. But in life, the only person that wants to be changed is a baby with a wet diaper. Everyone do not want any change. So it's not curious to have that.
Yeah, that will be better.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Rector Sanchez. That was very insightful and inspiring also. I have been visiting universities in the Philippines and, with other countries. And we have been monitoring, evaluating the kind of governance of the university and the commitment of the government of the university, academic governance. So I was thinking if I have to ask something about the tripod of a university, which is instruction, research, and community outreach or community involvement, how would you strike a balance as rector, or how would you prioritize? And another one, how would you dedicate yourself to the mission and vision of your university in terms of instruction? Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Bueno, la pregunta es de las misiones de la universidad, docencia, investigación, compromiso con la comunidad, cuál sería la valoración o la prioridad que yo le doy y cómo se organiza eso en términos de la mirada de gestión de la universidad. I would say that the two main columns of a university are research and teaching. If you don't have a good research and teaching, you cannot engage with the community with an original proposal. So that's why we have to strengthen very carefully in these two main columns. And we have the result of this, giving to the society will be the best engagement to the community. We ask our professors research, teaching, and service. And the service could be inside the university, let's say be a part of a academic commission for promotion, or being part of a academic committee for the Minister of Health to allow us to have vaccines in pandemia. I mean, the service could be inside the university, or the service could be to the country or to the society. La forma de gestionar el tiempo del rector y de poner prioridades es algo que siempre está en constante tensión, porque uno lo que quiere es que la universidad salga de sus fronteras. Perhaps the best example was during pandemia. We had about 50,000 people in the community that we have to take care about where they were connected, where they were having sick problems, where they're having some suffering. But those was the 50,000 Catholic University community in Chile. But what happened with the 20 million people in Chile, where we could give some acknowledgement in research in vaccines, we can give some acknowledgement in public health education, we can give some acknowledgement in teaching education for school kids. Entonces lo que digo es que tenemos que tener siempre como universidades católicas líderes la mirada al interior de la comunidad, pero no perderse de que tenemos un compromiso, una misión que va mucho más allá de la propia comunidad y que incorpora a todo el país. Yo podría tener respuesta de una pregunta más, por razón de tiempo. You have another question?
Yes. So many of us here are, well, the reason we are here is because we are representing Catholic teachers. So we have teachers at universities, research-intensive universities like yourself. From other universities, we have people in dioceses, people in schools, leaders, and all of us have the commitment and are representing others and other unions that are committed to a vision of education that you described so eloquently in your talk. Many of us, my own example, I am in a secular university, but a Catholic entity within. And occasionally we can, or we have to be aware of the possibility of mission drift, losing the mission or losing sight of the mission, or paying lip service only to the mission. Yes, we are Catholic, but we're not really. So my question is, these are some of our concerns and our topics of conversation. What challenges have you met in your own time, 10 years as principal or rector, and any advice to us to try and ensure that in our own establishments, our own situations, we remain true to that mission, that Catholic mission?
Entonces la pregunta sería, ¿cómo trabajamos y cómo ponemos prioridad a ser fieles a la misión de la universidad en un mundo cambiante y con tantos desafíos y en un mundo secularizado? Porque no somos parte de un país en donde la mayoría de la ciudadanía sea católica y nuestra comunidad en su, por lo menos hoy día, mitad y mitad, no lo son. So I will say that this is the most difficult challenge that we have to follow, and we have to realize that we will never reach the complete or wonderful mission, that this is something that you have to always work every morning, every day, to be loyal and to be close to your mission, to the university. And many times you can be depressed because you see issues that you will not like to be or to have inside the university, and this is always the case. But one has to have a more long view and to really calibrate what are the facts that are taking you back. Many times are very small areas of the university. Many times are small number of members of the community that they can do things to provocate the university. We know that we have some kids that they will like to come into the Catholic university, and the purpose is for the university to stop to be Catholic. Because they are I mean, provocative, and they say, well, this university gets public funds for more than 100 years. This university is publicly oriented. They're receiving kids from everywhere of the country. So why to maintain to be Catholic? So you say, well, because we have a foundation frame, because as we have state-run universities, as we have private universities, it's very important for the country to have good Catholic universities. Regardless of you are Catholic or no, the plurality of the system needs us, as also I need non-Catholic universities as well to have this discussion. One has to have a difference, tenemos que hacer la diferencia entre pluralismo y pluralidad. The pluralism is to have everything inside one university, and this is almost impossible. It's impossible for a state-run university, it's impossible for a Catholic university. So more than pluralism, más que pluralismo de cada universidad, lo que tenemos que tener es una pluralidad del sistema. So each university has to be as much as pluralist as we can, but each university we can add to the system something that is very peculiar, something that is very original, and in that case, Catholic universities, I guess, we have that mission more patent now than ever. Muchas gracias a todos por la participación y por escuchar y por la invitación sobre todo.
Invito a sí, verdad, sí, tiene razón. Cuidado, que no, el cable impide que...
We couldn't agree more. Take all down. Typical for the Catholic University. Mike?
Matías.
Mike, are you answering? Yeah, still one short request or a present from Professor John Leyden.
Professor de Groot, thank you. This is not a question you'll be glad to hear, but simply, I'm the editor of International Studies in Catholic Education, a professor at the Catholic University like Roisin, but mine is in London, and we did a special issue, Catholic Education in Latin America, and that was about 3 years ago, and one of the articles is Catholic Education a promoter of the meaning of life? I looked at the school context in Chile, and I'd like to present you with this, a copy of that. Thank you so much.
Invitamos a Caroline. Ignacio, espera ahí, por favor, un minutito. A Mario Sandoval. Caroline, esta es nuestra directiva. Dale, vaya. Ya vamos a poner ya para ti. Ya. Repetimos el aplauso, los agradecimientos a Ignacio Sánchez Díaz, un gran y querido amigo también, ¿cierto?, del tema educativo y que ha hecho un gran aporte a la educación chilena. Debo decirlo, él cumple 15 años, 50 years, como rector de la Pontificia Universidad Católica de Chile. Y a sus 63 años prácticamente, él ha decidido no volver a renovar, a solicitar, a postular ser rector. Esa humildad de sincerity, ¿cierto? Esa humildad se debe reconocer y nosotros te queremos hacer desde la UMEC este reconocimiento y agradecimiento por tu gran aporte en una universidad no fácil, pero además que ha hecho un gran aporte a Chile.
Muchas gracias a todos. Que tengan una buena jornada.